Hi, this is Tim Smith with Total CSR.
Hi, Tim. This is Jennifer Baker, Cincinnati Insurance. How are you?
I'm great, great. How are you, Jennifer?
I'm great.
Very good.
I think.
Well,
Hi, this is Millie.
Oh, hey, Millie.
Hi, Jen. How are you?
Great. How are you?
Good, good, good.
Hi, Heidi's on the line too.
Hey, Heidi.
Hello.
great. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for getting on the call. Definitely appreciate you signing on for the demo. So that was set up by Jessica Zinsmeister. Is she going to be on as well?
She is.
Okay. Which she doesn't have to be. It's okay. That's the contact information I have, and no problem. We'll
She
whenever
will be. Let me see
Okay.
where she's at.
Okay, no problem. Then, yeah, we're not in a rush. We've got plenty of time here. Should I give it another minute or two or so?
Now let's go ahead and get started, and she can join when she's ready.
Okay. Okay. Very good.
The session is recorded, right, Tim? So will you perhaps send a recording in case Jessica misses the first few minutes?
Yes. Yes. No. A good point. It is recorded. I can send it to anybody. It looks like Jessica just signed on too. So
Excellent.
all good there. And again, so first off, just a question for whoever wants to answer it, but to help us out. So we know there's a lot of different training out there. How'd you hear about us, and what intrigued you about us?
Tim, this is Jennifer again. So I had done some research on you after attending AppliedNet last year.
Yeah.
And I spoke to several agencies who work with Cincinnati Insurance Company, and they all raved about your product. The customer care center that Jessica runs is our service center for Cincinnati Insurance Company. So we work with policyholders when agencies contract with us to do that. And the interesting thing about our care center is that we act as the underwriter and the agent on their behalf. So we were looking for a way to kind of speed up our process of the agency side of the training, figure out how we could get people to the desk quicker with a little bit better accuracy, better understanding of what their job entails. So that's how we got to you.
Got it. Okay, that makes total sense. And so you guys are an actual, like a carrier, an insurance company?
We are, yes.
You are. Okay, got it. So I just bring that up. We usually sell through agencies directly, independent agencies. So we can certainly, if it's something you want to look at further or considering, we can do that. It just might be our pricing might be different for you guys depending on just how everything is set up.
I'm sorry. So keep in mind, the care center operates as an agency. We use Applied Epic's product.
Okay.
So everything we do from a process standpoint is agency driven. We just also do the carrier underwriting. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay. Good to know. Very good. Then, all right, from here, let me give you a quick background, and then we'll jump into the screens and take a look at it. The founders of Total CSR also own a third generation agency, and families in the business for 40 plus years. Justin and Jordan have been running the agency for the last 13 years or so. And so like every agency, hiring and training is a big deal. It's a challenge, it's a frustration. And so really these courses, what we rolled out, it came out of that challenge that we've had for the last 13 years. We needed help with it. It was consuming so much of our time, and we were actually losing thousands in productivity from people shadowing and training each other. So this all happened a few years ago, and reevaluating it. And our first course did come out. It was 2 years ago now, in June of 2018. We've signed up over 1,100 agencies since we started. We continue to grow. We continue to add new courses. In fact, we have a new course coming out this month, just a few weeks away, and we'll talk about that too. So if I am a new agency that just signed up, the first screen to go to is the admin page. And so that's going to be my agency from the upper right. Here is that admin page. At the very bottom, this is how we get new users started or enrolled in a course. And it's just name, email address. we hit this enroll button, and that person will get an auto email sent to them and with their login information as well. And then they're able to sign in to the site, but they're going to go down to My CSR. And so that's the user side, the main education page here. So we just pulled this up. Here's where all the courses are. And you can tell, so each tab, and we got commercial lines or producer training, personal lines, etc. Now, I will usually start off in reviewing commercial lines or personal lines. Does that work for you guys? Or do you have a preference?
No preference from my end.
Okay.
Lily, Jen, do you have a preference?
I'll just start with commercial because it's first off. The personal, I mean, we can look at it. It's very similar structure. You'll get a really good feel from this first one, and then we'll just go from there. So the commercial course is going to have 13 modules in total to finish it all the way through and get our designation for completing it. How we break that down, though, the first 7 are the main core modules. This is 95% of the content in these first 7 here. The last 6 is just the follow-up review training, no new information there. And back to the first 7. So you can see we're going to do general ed and then the 6 main lines. So we're comp, GL, auto, excess, property, and all the way down to inland marine, being those 6 main lines of coverage. So I usually, let's see, what state are you guys based in? Is it Ohio? Or?
Yes, it's Ohio.
Okay, so you probably don't do as much work. So I'll go into the GL then to begin with, and we'll take a closer look. And I want you to get a good feel for each of the main lines of coverage, structure, their content. Left-hand side, you can see this. Is the index. These are all the sections I'm going to have to complete as a user. So I'll take you through the majority of these. It's going to take me about 10 minutes or so to work my way through it. But if a question comes up, please go ahead and ask it. If you prefer to wait to the end, there'll be plenty of time to discuss then. And so I'll get started. On the GL, we're going to begin with an introduction. It's just a 2-minute intro video going over the basics. What is it? Why do we have it? Some claim scenarios, that sort of thing. And then our first section is a GL and coverage overview. So we're going to look, the first subsection here, we're going to look at the GL coverage form. Okay, what's the overview on that? There's 4 main coverage parts that we want to review and understand: coverage A, B, C, and supplementary payments. So what is each one? We'll define coverage A. We'll talk about what triggers it. Same thing with coverage B and coverage C. And the last ones, then we'll look at who isn't insured. So beginning with, here's some cards: what's a named insured or an automatic insured, and then also some other entities we'll be exposed to. What's a sole proprietorship, with examples and explanations, or a partnership? How are these different from each other? Then we'll look at the limits of liability within the GL policy. Okay, so there's 6 limits within that policy, and we'll review the limits for each one of those, start to get a handle on it. Next is common endorsements that we need to know. So first, an endorsement, what's that do to the policy? Then we want to understand various GL endorsements, and we'll look at additional insured, other policy endorsements, and so on. Next, we'll talk about common exclusions that we need to know. So how's that different than an endorsement? And the standard exclusions for each one of the coverages: coverage A, B, and C, etc. Okay, and now that wraps up the coverage review. Basically, it's those first 6 screens, an overview and the coverage information. Now, this next screen is really what we focus on, the rest of the training. We call it the CSR support cycle, and we break it down. It's those 8 major steps that you see listed there on the screen. So these are the processing, servicing, daily operations, or real-world activities that we do. And so that's why we want to focus on them and train on them in more detail. And we'll start off with, here's step 1, submission information. So we got about 5 screens to look at here, beginning with, okay, annual exposure figures. Well, what are those exactly? And then how do we determine the premium basis? So 3 steps involved in that: understanding the business operations, discovering the class code. Here's a PDF doc. We've got the ISO GL class codes to save to our computer to review later. Here's some examples of the class codes. And then how do we collect the annual payroll figures? What's the information mean once we have it, etc. We also need to discuss the supplemental application. What additional information are we collecting? What's a sample supplemental app going to look like? And now our next screens will deal with loss run reports. So we can see that we're going to begin with terminology. And so it's actually 17 terms you can see here specifically on loss runs. And now whenever we're introducing new insurance terms, we'll be using these flashcards here. Very helpful, very easy for the user to get the definitions. We can see what a claimant is, or indemnity, what does that mean? But we have to click our way through all 17 of the terms. Right below it, we'll do a drag and drop exercise with the definitions of those terms. So it's helping it sink in, helping us remember those terms as we go, and then how to request those loss run reports we need to discuss. Next activity, we'll move there. It's a loss run tutorial. Okay, we've got a sample of a GL loss run that we're looking at here. The tutorial part is all the green arrows you see on that document, and we have to click our way through them to complete the tutorial. And then I can see here's the insured, the deductible, the policy limit, the claim number, and all the rest of the sections that are on this document. So I'm just trying to get familiar with it, what this information is, where it's located, that kind of thing. Okay, now we'll be testing knowledge as we go. We have a minimum of 4 quizzes in every line of coverage. This is our first quiz, loss runs review. We require to pass every quiz with a 75% or better. And we set that because our goal is to learn, retain the information as we're going, not just to speed through the sections as quick as possible, right? That's going to defeat the purpose. You can also probably tell as we're going through here, we set it up that it has to be completed sequentially in order, and there's different activities or quizzes that you have to pass before you can move on. And again, that just makes us accountable to learning it as we go. So I passed this quiz, and I can go to step 2 now, which this is our accord form section. And so for GL, we're looking at the Accord 126. We'll review all 4 pages of that accord form and the different sections of it. And then after that, we can jump into the actual scenarios, this section. And what we're doing within the scenarios, we're training the user how to complete the accord form for each line of coverage. And so we go over this base information. We want to have that expertise. Once we get it, we can transfer it to any agency system. Here's how we complete a scenario. Real quick, first off, we've got to review all the information within these documents. And so here's page 1. We've got just some GL additional information. Then here's a completed supplemental app, sample supplemental app. And then at the very bottom, we'll have a loss run report. Then we can begin. So we'll go into our system, and we're going to complete all 4 pages of the Accord 126 as best we can, copy and pasting that information over. We'll hit submit when we're done. The goal is to hit 95%. It's going to take us a few times. We won't do it first try. So we jump back in, and you see the system will highlight those fields. And if we hover over it, it'll give us a tip as to what goes there. So I can clean that up, finish the scenario, and move on. We have multiple scenarios for each line of coverage. So it's going to take some time. It's a deep dive, and there's a lot of repetition. We're practicing with real world examples that we'll see within the agency, within our day-to-day job, and just getting us as comfortable as we can with the accord forms. Then we can move on and go to the next step. So next we're looking at sending the submission out. Okay, what is a submission? What documents need to be included in that, and what do each one of those documents, samples, what they're going to look like. Step 4 is reviewing quotes. So starting off, some more terminology again, 10 terms this time, new flashcards specifically on quotes. We'll scroll down though. Here's a sample GL quote. Of course, we need to review the information, get a handle on it. We've color coded it and then explaining each one of those sections there on the left-hand side. Any math that's involved in the quote, we want to explain, understand that as well. And then we'll go ahead, we'll be testing knowledge again. Here's the second quiz we've seen. This time it's the quotes review quiz, 12 questions, and we'll be looking at different examples of quotes as we're answering, going through each quiz. Then passing that, the next step, presenting our proposal. What needs to be included in the proposal and why is it included there? Then we'll look at binding coverage also, and specifically the bind order. What is that? What does it need to include? What are we sending over to the carriers? Here's a sample of an email bind order, what that would look like. Step 7 is going to be policy checking. And so we talk about why it's important to do this. And then we need identical information for these 3 documents, a quote, the proposal, and the policy. And here you can see knowledge check. This is actually some PDF exercises that we're going to go through on each one of these documents. We'll practice doing policy checking, going through that process. These questions here actually tie in to the exercise we're going through there. And then after that, we've gotten to step 8, our final step, supporting our insured. We want to quickly review the claims process and what we need to know there. Then we'll go into final audits. Okay, so why are audits going to be performed? What are the different types of audits that will happen? Necessary documents on the audits. Possible audit situations that can come up either during or after. And then common mistakes that can happen. So let's review those. Let's watch out for them and try not to repeat them. The very last activity will be a final exam. So we've pulled together 25 questions on GL, on CGL. And so then we do have to pass the finals though with a 90%. So quizzes are 75, finals are 90. Again, just keeps us accountable to learning that information as we go. And so once we pass it, then we're done with that GL module. We've got all the way through it. And hopefully you got a good feel for it and how we set it up, all the activities. Again, all the main modules are set up the same way. And timeline, so how long does it take to complete these? They're each going to average about 8 to 9 hours, or in total, the first 7 will be between 60 to 65 hours to complete, to get all the way through. Then the follow-up modules, we've got 6 more hours. We do spread them out over 6 weeks though. And we do that on purpose. It's designed to increase our long-term memory and retention of all this material that we've gone over. And then we've completed the course, so we can go back to any section. We also, very helpful, we have a reference or resource library up here, which we'll be able to access as a user, and not everything is going to sink in. And so we set this up, we can type in any line of coverage, topic, term, and it will pull all the information from our courses. Print it, so to have a hard copy, email it if we're sending it directly to somebody. So just another way to access the information, continue to shorten our overall learning curve and absorb everything. Okay, so that's an overview then on the commercial lines course, what we're looking at, how we get through everything, timelines. I'll move to personal lines, and we won't dive into this one in as much depth, but just you can see then what we're going to focus on here: homeowners, auto, dwelling, all the way down to flood. So we've got, those are the main modules. Again, the first 8 are the main, then 6 more follow-up modules again. Timeline on the homeowners course, personal lines course, it's about maybe 5-10 hours less. So this is about 55 hours in total to get all the way through those 8 modules. So maybe 6-7 hours per module to complete it. And then I'll pull up the homeowners one. We'll at least look at the course index. It's over here on the left-hand side. So same structure again, right? We've got the coverage overview. We're going to look at the CSR cycle. will focus on this, but now it's tailored to homeowners insurance instead of workers' comp or GL. It's going to be tailored to each individual line. And we'll go through every step again, submission information. We have a comparative rater section, 5 scenarios to complete there, the online quoting, reviewing quotes, binding coverage, policy checking, supporting our insured, a final exam at the very end that we have to complete and pass. So the final exam's got 30 questions. On top of that, same type of activities. There's going to be quizzes, flashcards, knowledge checks, and so forth. So again, activities keeping us accountable to learning that information. Quick overview there on the personal lines course. At this point, so I know I'm going over a lot of information, but just what I've covered so far, any questions on what we've seen? Sounds like nothing yet, which that's okay. That's fine. Another common. Go ahead.
Sorry, Tim, I have a quick question about whether this integrates to any LMS. So I don't know if any of the agents that you work with have a learning management system that you have to integrate with, but I'm wondering about what capabilities you have there.
No, we don't integrate directly into any of the agency management systems. It's kind of standalone. So okay. Yeah, not like to Applied Epic or AMS 360. Those are 2 very common. The idea is we want to give you kind of the foundational conceptual basis,
right.
And then it's going to be a lot easier to navigate through your system.
Okay, and that's fine. Thank you.
And this is Jen. Is this cloud-based?
Cloud, I think, well, it's WebEx, web-based, just
okay.
Through our site, totalcsr.com. So you just need internet access from work or from home, and you're signing in with your username to complete from anywhere.
And do we assign them the username when we sign somebody up? Like our administrator side, do we?
Yes.
Okay.
It's just their email address. That's what their username is, and then they can set up their own password. And so that's how the system tracks the information based off of email addresses. And now this going through the courses, it's go at your own speed, and it keeps track of your progress as you're going. So you're able to jump back and forth if you need to get out. It saves where you were at, and it's set up that way too. So if you need to do half hour a day or 6 hours a day, whatever you're doing, it's what works best for the agency or the user. We do recommend in the beginning, if for your first month or 2, if you're able to do 2 to 4 hours, then you can plow through a lot of it, and which will be helpful. Okay, then a summary of the other courses. Soft skills, these are going to be critical business skills needed in a corporate environment. So business writing, telephone etiquette, difficult customers, etc. These are each a couple hours, 2.5 hours. So we're looking at 10, 12 hours on this course. Producer training, this is sales training now specifically, so no coverage information, but for new agents, new producers. This is group benefits, CSR training. Then lastly, this stands for commercial coverage. This is the course launching in 3 weeks, 2-3 weeks, and it's going to be in-depth coverage training for the 6 main lines of coverage again. And so we have the CSR focus, the operations. This is designed to supplement that training, diving deep into every one of those coverages, what we don't get into in the CSR courses, and to make it available, kind of marry those 2 together. So this is only one of the demos showing, one line of coverage. It's going to have all 6 of them. Okay, so that's all 6 courses are included in the package. It is a package deal. And since you guys are with AppliedNet or heard about us through AppliedNet, there's a 15% discount that you get as well. And so I've gone to the pricing tab, and this is on our website too, which if you need to review it again. And there's a couple different ways to pay here. This is starting with 1 user, but the base package, 1 user, okay? And either way, it's a 1-year contract, either annual or monthly. Monthly is $249 times 12. That's $29.88 for the year. If we pay it up front, we're going to save $1,200. It's $1,788 for the year. Less 15% makes it $1,520 for the year. What are we getting? We're getting one user at a time, one admin user, which is like a second user, the reference library, and all 6 of our programs included within the package. Okay, so that's the prices and the contracts. This is starting with, if you need to have more than one, each user we add. So a second user is another 600, less your discount. Third, if you need 3 at a time, another 600. That's how, and so on, depending on what the number you need, what's going to be best for your customer care center or for your agency.
So Tim, let me make sure I understand. So
Yeah.
if we went with the 3 active users, that's concurrent. So we could have 3 people in training at a time. When they're done, we could do another 3 people for the same price.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So say those first 3, let's say they take 3 to 6 months to complete a course. So then you can get another 3 people done over the next 6 months. So it would be 6 total, even though you have 3 users.
And is the renewal pricing pretty similar to the first time purchase, or should
Yeah.
we? Okay.
It's the same. It's the exact same price. As long as you renew, you get the same price, you get your discount. If you don't renew, then it's whatever the price is then.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. Sure, of course. Okay, now let's go back to the admin page. I want to show you another tool there. Up here, so when I enroll a user, whoever the admin person is, manager, something like that, we'll see their users listed here. So for example, Blake, he's the first one, he's enrolled. It looks like he's doing the benefits course right now. So I can track his progress by hitting the view details. So I'll pull that up, go to benefits. I can see he's gotten through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's 18% through this third one, the CSR cycle. So that's a helpful tool. When he's done, I can remove him with this button. I can change user access. That changes what courses I'd like to have him take. So does he need to do commercial lines or soft skills, or is it just the benefits course? Anyway, I get to pick and choose from there, as well as then I showed you enrolling them. Really easy. This just takes a few minutes to enroll. So those are the tools on the admin page. Again, this is for that admin user, whoever that might be. The admin user can be shared too. Like if you make it a generic admin at agency, then more than one person can use it. And okay, so going back to the main education page, I've gone over everything I wanted to show you guys. Was there another question?
Yeah, Tim, I just had a quick question. Do you also have some metadata that you can report out, not just an individual, but maybe over a period of time, what courses people do? Yeah.
What was it? Some
Metadata?
Oh, metadata?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I'm not sure what that is. I don't think we do. Do you mean like, is that kind of like aggregate for all the different users?
Yeah, so over a period of time, like, is there a way to report what courses people took, pass fail rate, things like that, that would help us understand, or even what type of things were of interest at an aggregate level, not just the individual level?
No, we don't have that reporting functionality yet. We might add it, but we don't have it now.
Okay.
Okay. Well, anything else you guys would like to see? Any of the other sections or any further questions?
Could you show us a little bit of the producer section,
Yeah.
please?
Sure. We'll go ahead and pull that up. This course is 18 to 20 hours in total. So course index over here on the left-hand side. This is video-based training and tutorial study. Jason Cass does all the videos, very well known in the industry. Then the main topics, we go to 5 main topics. Becoming a niche producer is first. After that, it's prospecting management. So we look at generating leads, different methods, working the pipeline, moving leads to prospects, so dealing with discomfort, having unique selling proposition. And then we're going to look at start to build a relationship with our prospects. Hopefully they can become opportunities. And then lastly, it's going to be managing the relationship, step 5. So did we win the opportunity? Did we lose that opportunity? Why? Did either of those happen? What do we do on a go-forward basis? And as far as how that looks, this is contacting our leads specifically. Got a 1 to 2 minute video Then we're going to expand upon that. We're okay doing this via phone, email, and messaging, cold call script, PDF document, example of emails that we can send out, that we can use. We need to be taking notes when we're making phone calls, recording the information. Obviously, it's important for referencing in the future, pre-qualification process. So this is one of these subsections. This is the making contact subsection, which right here, right? So there's 5 to 6 subsections under each one of the 5 topics. So, we're looking at 25 to 30 total subsections to complete to get all the way through that course. Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Then any other questions? It's okay. Also, like I said at the beginning, I record the demo. So if I need to email a copy, I can. Just let me know. If somebody else needs to review it or you want to come back to it, then that's an easy thing to do. I also can send out we have our course flyer in a PDF document. And other than that, we can kind of just go from there. I guess what would the next step be for you guys? What do I need to do next?
Well, I would like a copy of the recording. I think Millie, you
Yeah.
you would as well. Okay, Heidi, how about you? Well, wait, when I get it, I'll just send it out to everybody. How's that?
Yep.
That sounds good. Maybe even the flyer as well, if there's a quick overview that you can provide as well as the recording, that'd be great.
Yes, I will. I'll send that. I have Jessica's contact, so I'll send to her and allow her to forward it on, please.
So I think our next steps are Jessica, this is Jennifer again. Jessica, Millie, Heidi, and I will get together and see what we think collectively, if we have any more questions for you. And then we'll come back to you with if we're going to move forward and take it to expense committee or if we have more questions.
Okay.
I don't suppose, could we have somebody go through a couple of the modules?
Oh, to do the like a demo access? No, we don't do that. What you can do, it's similar. If you guys decided, you wanted to try it out, if you purchase, then you can have some users go through it, try it for 2 weeks. And if you're not satisfied after 2 weeks, you can get a full refund of what you paid.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, yeah, if you get us that information, we'll huddle up and we'll come to some pretty quick, I think, decisions on if we're going to move forward. Either way, we'll let you know.
Yeah, thank you. That sounds great.
Okay. You guys have any other questions?
No questions from me. Thank you for the demo, Tim.
Thank you, Tim.
You're very welcome. You guys have a good one and take care.
You too.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.